I don't normally do the victory dance, but like my position was not really that controversial, but the tariffs worked immediately. Like,
yeah, Trump backed down to all sorts of countries, Panama. Well,
yeah,
other than Canada, Trudeau's the only one that's standing up, and it's like, well, bravado, I suppose, but you will lose.
they canceled a big contract with Starlink, $100 million. That just means that their people are going to get worse internet to totally own Elon. I don't think that, like, essentially, Mexico immediately caved. He did we're going to build the wall and Canada's going to pay for it thing. Mexico agreed to send 10,000 troops. The tariffs, I have a lot of viewers in Canada. I don't hate Canadians. I don't want them to suffer. And like, I'm hoping that this deal is just about getting more border security. A lot of people don't know that Canada has become the significant favorite of people on the watch list to cross into America, like significantly so.
There was a report that came out like 2 weeks ago that members of the Mexican cartel had made over $100,000 trafficking people across the northern border into America.
Yes.
I assume that Canada doesn't want the Mexican cartel operating within its country. And I assume we can understand why we would be frustrated that it's not helping us with our border crisis. We talk a lot about the southern border, but it is, and I don't know if Styx can talk about this more given where he grew up, but the northern border is porous too. And in fact, in some ways, it's got its own dangers. And you'll see not just Mexican immigrants, but also, immigrants from China crossing illegally there. So both borders need to be secure. Both countries need to take accountability for it.
Encounters with people on the watch list, 480 in 2023 in the Canadian border compared to 80 in Mexico, 350 last year compared to Mexico's 50. So I mean, the Terrys are choosing to cross the Canadian border by a 5-to-1 ratio. I mean, that's all this is about. Canada, quite frankly, again, I know we have a lot of Canadian viewers. I don't wish bad things to happen to them, but Canada cannot win this trade war. Like, America is responsible for like 40% of their total exports. Their crude oil exports is actually sour oil that they cannot refine. The United States only buys it because it's heavily discounted. And then we refine it here in the United States. Like, this whole Canadian oil thing is baloney. Like, we can just free up all the oil we need here in America. We buy their sour oil because they cannot even refine it.
They will lose. They will lose this trade war badly.
And you can't take Justin Trudeau seriously right now. He's outgoing. Anything he says is useless anyways.
Yeah, the thing is that Trudeau is like, he's going to be gone within a matter of months.
In January,
why would we bother taking him seriously? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I want the best for Canada, and I hope that this is just Trump saying, hey, tighten up the border, eh? And they say, okay. Like, that's what happened to Mexico. Mexico committed 10,000 troops to the southern border, and Trump immediately backed down on his tariff. That's how tariffs work. It's the art of the deal. People are like so dumb about the tariffs. Like, oh no, my avocados. We don't need avocados to live. They need us to buy those avocados to live. So that's how tariffs work. Trump's not trying to apply tariffs to nations that we do not have a overwhelmingly favorable position in trade with. Mexico was never going to F around. They were never going to fight this tariff because they literally can't. Without American tourism and America buying their products, that's 50-60% of the Mexican economy. Who are they kidding? Acting like, oh, well, we're just going to, you're going to have to pay $20 for avocados. No, we won't. We'll get them from somewhere else. Like, that's just how this works.
Like, we're incapable of growing avocados?
We'll grow them here. Right. Texas will become avocado country. Like it'll just that's how this stuff works. The tariffs that he's going to have with the EU isn't about hurting the EU. It's about saying, hey, why don't you move? Why can't we sell Chevrolets in the European Union, but you can sell BMWs here?
Right.
That's what they are. It's not about hurting BMW. It's like, hey, we should be able to sell Chevrolets there. If not, then okay, well then BMW's gonna have to move their factory here.
I thought that was one of the most effective things about the statement the Trump administration put out at the end of last week, saying like, we will introduce tariffs for Mexico and Canada. Here's how much of their GDP depends on our trade versus ours. They kept that announcement very short and sweet, and I think that kind of argument is actually very digestible to a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
The panic over prices are going to be high, and Trump says you're going to feel the pain. Like, yeah, nobody wants anything to go up. On the other hand, the reality that we not only hand out tons of foreign aid, but also basically support all kinds of import to the detriment of our own economy is something I think a lot of Americans are much more open to agreeing with, because some of the like panic around Donald Trump's a bully and that's why he's doing this and he's going to, destroy the world, it has subsided since 2016.
Well, here's a Canadian. I'm not going to play the whole 7 minutes, but here's a Canadian explaining the
Donald
situation.
Trump's tariffs are going to turn Canada into a third world country. Without exaggeration, we will soon be better known as Snow Mexico. So first, what is a tariff? A tariff is an import or export tax, meaning anything that goes into America being sold to an American company or individual will have a 25% federal tax added to it to be paid by the person who is buying the product. Now, again, this doesn't mean Canadians will have to pay 25% more, but what it does is it prices us out of the international market when it comes to America.
Correct.
Americans will just no longer buy anything from Canada. To put
how sad
in perspective as to how big of a deal this is, roughly 60% of our international trade is with America, and that accounts for 40% of our overall GDP. So our trade with America is almost half of our entire economic productivity, which is about to just be wiped off of.
They're talking about unemployment there doubling as a result of these tariffs. Do you think that they're going to be, here's a guy talking about the oil. By the way, this guy works in Montana oil fields.
Ooh, buddy, you're not going to like how this goes. Fun fact, spent 4 years in the North Dakota oil fields. First year was as a flowback operator. The next 3 years was as a lease operator, or a pumper, as it were. Yep, 4 years of oil field work in the great state of North Dakota.
Or North Dakota.
So does the United States purchase a lot of Canadian oil exports? Survey says yes. We actually purchase 97% of the oil that you guys export. And that 97% of oil exports from Canada that we purchase in the United States, that accounts for 81% of your guys' entire oil production.
Oops.
Now, for some reason, you got it in your head that we desperately need to purchase this oil from you. Our oil and energy sector is going to die without Canadian exports. No, it's not. There's a very specific reason we purchase so much. It's because you guys sell that oil to us at a discount. Why would Canada sell so much oil at a discount?
Uh-oh.
Well, simply put, it's because about 75% of your guys' total oil production is sour, heavy crude. Oh, well, why doesn't Canada just refine their oil, eh? It's because you guys can't. Your refineries can't handle sour crude. And you guys don't even have the money to maintain or build the infrastructure that it would take to transport this oil across your own country. And that's if you were able to refine it in the first place.
Which they're not.
So the reason why we get to purchase the lion's share of your oil production at a highly discounted rate is because it's raw fucking oil. And sour oil, packed full of H2S gas, which is the second most lethal gas on the planet, right next to what happens when you burn it. So because it's so heavily discounted, we actually save money by purchasing your exported oil versus just refining our own oil coming out of the Bakken Shale, which accounts for 61% of our oil production, which is sour heavy crude as well. Now factor in that crude oil accounts for 16% of anything that Canada exports, and we buy 97% of that. Who's going to be hurting more economically if...
I mean, again, I like my Canadian viewers. I like them. I don't I don't want bad things to happen to Canadians, but
we've kind of got them
you
over
aren't
a barrel.
winning this. Yeah, a barrel, pun intended. Yeah, this is
Can I just
it's
say,
hard to win this.
I weirdly think the long-term benefit of this, and I'm totally guessing right now, could be the rise in a more populist nationalist movement in Canadian politics. I mean, there's always one that bubbles on the surface. You see it especially in, what's called Western Canada, which is basically like Alberta and stuff. Think of it as like the Texas of Canada, which is oil heavy. And ultimately, as we go into this election for Canada, Justin Trudeau being like, Trump can't do this and whatever, after he, led the country into all kinds of issues on his own. He left them without a budget for a while. I mean, like, I don't know that this is the outgoing inspirational message that people need. I think that they'll look at him and be like, dude, stop. Why are you making Trump mad? You're not even going to be here.
Yes.
And you're not helping us on your way out. We need a different kind of party. I think it's sort of stupid for Justin Trudeau to be trying to act as though he's still a useful prime minister. And I think long term, if you want to see a more conservative political rise in Canadian politics, this kind of conversation is probably good to have publicly.
Look what happened to the Canadian
I think that Trudeau is sort of doing what Biden did on his way out.
Yeah.
That is, he was burning down the house as he was exiting. And Trudeau appears to be doing the same thing. It's sort of like, I don't give a crap anymore. I'm just going to destroy everything on my way out.
It's for his own political legacy. I mean, that was very much Biden's move. Biden wanted, after a 2.5 year interlude of being like, oh yeah, I forgot about my promises about the environment. At the end, he was like, actually, we're going to bring down carbon emissions. Like the last 60 days, he was suddenly like remembering what an environmental warrior he was. I think Trudeau was similar.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened to their dollar. Like, now it was only a few cents. It looks scarier than it really is, because it's measuring things in half a penny. But like, it's working back now, probably because most people believe that they're just this tariff's not gonna, this tariff is not going to stay. But if I go USD to CAD, perhaps that's an easier, Canadian dollars are cheap now, buds. You can buy $1.50 in CAD, or $1.46. Now it's come back a little bit, but I'm guessing that that's because, again, people probably think, hey, Canada's going to win, eh? Canada dollar sees lowest level since 2003.
Canada's
no, you're
going
not.
to win against the United States. That's really sensible.
They aren't in the position to negotiate. They're in a position to say, yes, we will patrol our border. That's what we want. That's what the United States wants. Like, stop letting Terry's in.
Oh, we've got King of Biltong, Anton over there. My account is temporarily blocked from rants. To Rumble, I want to give you money. Rumble says no.
Interesting.
You might want to contact them. You've got better contact than I do.
I will.
I'll
it'll be
take
interesting.
care of you, Anton.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. This is just the art of the deal, working out exactly as expected. What was the funniest thing was Mexico being like, "Oh, we're going to do counter tariffs." Okay. Okay.
Good luck, Mexico. Have a great time. And then all of the liberal media propped up and they were like, their avocados and the cars, and you should order a car now because this is going to get crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah,
and
no,
then,
it's not.
What,
yeah.
the U.S. market opens and Mexico immediately caves? Because that was the other thing I kept seeing. Well, Trump is doing this, and we're already seeing turbulence in Canada and Mexico, and when the U.S. market opens, you'll see a big drop. And
right.
I don't know. Everyone seems to be coming to the table.
Yeah.
When Mexico first announced, like, oh, we're going to counter tariff, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Market's fine
because it's like we're a net importer. If you tariff goods coming into the country, it's not going to work. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
I'm seeing this from Canada, Mexico, other countries. Why? It makes
Yeah.
no sense.